Hi, my name is Robert Berger and I'm the owner of Reliable Embedded Systems. I would like to show you one slide about recipe naming out of roughly 800 slides or so from my 4-day training, the Yocto Project, a thorough overview. I delivered this training more than 100 times and it took more than 600 days to develop it so far. If you're just one person from your company to attend the training, you can join a public version of it. Starting from 3 people per booking, you can ask for a private version, which can be customized and discounts apply. Just check out my website and enjoy.
Versioning of recipes. The chapter storing and naming the recipe can be found in the Yocto Mega Manual. Let's have a closer look at it. When you name your recipe, you need to follow this naming convention. Base name _version.bb. Uppercase characters were disabled in overrides. Don't worry if you don't know what overrides are. We'll have a closer look at them in the bitbake syntax chapter. Uppercase characters in recipe names, and for that matter, distro and machine names, cannot be supported due to their reliance upon overrides including the name. So you must use lowercase characters for recipe names. A sanity checker should inform you at least in some log files that you used uppercase instead of lowercase characters in your recipe name. You must not include reserved suffixes such as native, for example camu native, specifying the name like this produces a recipe that only builds for the build host. Initial, for example GCC cross initial, an early stage of the bootstrap process for creating the cross compiler. This stage builds enough of the GCC cross, the C library, and other pieces needed to finish building the final cross compiler in later stages. This tool is a native package, which means it is designed to run on the build host. Not sure if this is needed anymore in recent Yocto versions. Intermediate, for example GCC something intermediate, the build has been restructured to avoid the need for this step. Cross, such as GCC cross, which is a compiler built to run on the build machine but produces binaries that run on the target machine. Cross SDK, for example GCC cross SDK, the final stage of the bootstrap process for the relocatable cross compiler. The GCC cross SDK is a transitory compiler and never leaves the build host. Its purpose is to help in the bootstrap process to create the eventual GCC cross Canadian compiler, which is relocatable. This tool is also a native package, which means it is designed to run on the build host. Cross Canadian, for example GCC cross Canadian, the final relocatable cross compiler. When run on the SDK machine, this tool produces executable code that runs on the target device. Only one cross Canadian compiler is produced per architecture since they can be targeted at different processor optimizations using configurations passed to the compiler through the compile commands. This circumvents the need for multiple compilers and thus reduces the size of the tool chains. DBG packages contain either only debug symbols or debug symbols and sources. SRC packages, the default debug split has been changed to create separate source packages. They are package underscore name DBG and package underscore name SRC now. If you are currently using DBG PKGS and image underscore features to bring in debug symbols and you still need the sources, you must now also add SRC PKGS to image underscore features. Source packages remain in the target portion of the SDK by default, unless you have set your own value for SDK image underscore features that does not include SRC PKGS. Dev packages contain headers and other development files for every package in the image, in case those exist. Typically they are not empty if you are building a library. Static dev packages contain the static library files if you are building a library and the library offers static linking. You can control which static library files get included in the build library. Take care with auto-tooled libraries, since statically linked libraries are disabled by default. We will elaborate on this in the chapter about libraries. Doc packages contain documentation. Locale packages contain locales, for example different languages. As already mentioned, do not use those extensions as part of your recipe name unless you know what you are doing and the string applies. Here are some examples. Cups_1.7.0.bb is a good recipe name. Gawk_4.0.2.bb is also a good recipe name. Ursi_0.8.16rc1.bb is not so good. Why? We will see this later in this chapter and also how to help BitBake deal with funny recipe names.